Hey team, I just wanted to start the show with a bit of a reframe and reset. There's quite a few of you listening now, and not everyone has been here since the start. In these pods, I share with you the things that I've learned over the last 3 years from my journals, from therapy sessions, from loads of books, hundreds of conversations, thousands of hours of podcasts. I've no skin in this game, and I stand and don't want to make any money, fame, or notoriety from this podcast. I started podcasting, one, because I enjoy the process and it gives me a creative outlet that I don't get elsewhere in life. And two, because when I was sharing my journey with friends, they told me I was inspiring them to take action. If there's one thing I want from this, it's to give you a nugget, a smidge of an idea, something that might just maybe help you better your life. Whether that's as a parent, a partner, a colleague, or just a person, I don't really care. I'm proud to hear that I've done that in my first 6 episodes. From the YouTube community, the followers on socials, or indeed my friends and family, a lot of you have let me know how some of the things that I've shared have helped, and I really appreciate those messages. Please keep engaging with me and let's keep this conversation alive. And also, even if you don't agree, I enjoy those conversations as well. Anyway, prologue over. Let's get on with the show. What if I told you that 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February? That's right, studies show that most of us set ourselves up for failure before the year even begins. Why? Because resolutions are just wishful thinking without a foundation. They're promises that we make to feel good in the moment, but rarely do we have the tools to keep these up. But what if there is a better way? A way to actually learn from the year you just lived and create a blueprint for real growth moving forward. Research from psychology tells us that structured reflection improves self-awareness and long-term goal achievement by as much as 23%. Reflection isn't just looking back, it's a proven way to rewire your brain for future success. Today, we're going to ditch the resolutions and talk about something far more powerful. I would like to give thanks to today's show sponsors, Being Well Travel Company. Hit them up across all the usual places to get expertly planned trips, deals, and experiences around the world that will leave you feeling well. Now, back to the show. A year-end review that doesn't just help you look back, but pushes you forward with clarity and purpose. By the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to take control of your year like never before. And I'm giving you my tried, tested, and free annual review template to help you on your way. Find out how to get your hands on that later in this episode. So let's dive in. So why does year-end reflection matter? If this isn't your first episode, you'll know I love to use nuggets of science to back up my nuggets of wisdom. I was listening to the king of podcast science, Andrew Huberman, when preparing for this episode. He was explaining that reflection rewires your brain. Yes, you heard that right. It rewires your brain. Blew my mind as well. It helps it process experiences, make sense of them. This in turn helps you in both building resilience and clarity. If there are no other reasons, if you fancy a quick brain rewire, grab yourself some reflection. But in all seriousness, he was discussing so many things. He shared how celebrating wins, even small ones, trigger dopamine, motivating you to keep going and keep seeking out those successes. Also, one of my favourite Stoic wisdoms is something that I reflect on quite a lot. I first learned of it in my favourite book, The Obstacle is the Way. Side note to that, actually, Lauren just bought me the signed copy of the 10th anniversary edition for Christmas. So a big shout out to Being Well Lauren. And if you are in the East Lothian area and a lady, go check out her new running community. And I feel like I do this every episode, but I believe in this quote so much that I've got it tattooed on me. Yes, I tattoo all my wisdom on my arm so that I can be reminded of it in times of need. But anyway, Epictetus told us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. For reference, Epictetus was a one-legged slave, so he knew a thing or two about reflecting on adversity. In simple terms, we can't control what happens to us, we control how we respond. It's legit one of the best pieces of advice I can share with you. We can't control what happens to us, we control how we respond. Go get it tattooed. I can give you a good tattoo artist. But on a serious note, reflection is a tool for self-awareness and growth, not just to look back. So what better way than to conduct a review? Not a boring review like you might have to do at work, one that sets the scene for a future of personal growth. Before we move on, I'd be really keen to hear from that 20% of you that have nailed a New Year resolution. What's your best ones? Fire it in the comments, drop me a message on socials. I'm always keen to discuss what's working so that I can steal it for myself. So let me break down the review I've created for you. If you're like me and you can be quite hard on yourself, there's a need to create intentional space for the positives. So, favorite moments and highlights is such an important part of the document. One of my biggest highlights this year was seeing this podcast grow and hearing from so many of you. It reminded me that stepping outside your comfort zone to help others is always worth it. I've helped people run a mile for the first time, pick back up a sport they loved, and even start learning a language. That to me is such a huge positive from this year, amongst many others that I'll be noting in my review when I do it later today. I want you to do the same now. Take a moment, pause me if you like, and identify what was your biggest win from 2024. Now, celebrate it, big or small. They build momentum for what's next. Take a moment, give yourself a pat on the back. I also want you to think of the person that you want to talk to whenever something's gone well. Have you got them in mind? Great. Grab your phone and text it to them now and ask them what was their biggest moment of 2024. Get a good vibe conversation going whilst you and I talk through the rest of the show. Please do fire them in the comments or ping me a DM. Next up, as most of you know by now, I've been on a journey. I'm still on a journey. I've lost 5 stone so far. I've had knee surgeries, ripped hip tendons. I ran from 0 to a marathon last year. But we've all been on a journey. It doesn't need to be something physical. It might be family, career, mental well-being. There's so much wisdom in all of our journeys, and to unlock the wisdom, we need to reflect and detail it. So next in the review, let us focus on the obstacles. Think about what tested you this year. How did you handle it? What could you do differently next time as a result? For me, I faced many moments of doubt. Up to September, I had one of the best years of my life. Come October, my mental wellness took a huge hit. But instead of giving into it, I leaned on my knowledge and wisdom of what helped me in the past and sprung into action, stopping spirals that in previous times have cost me years of my life, and at points, almost my life itself. I share this to encourage you to find these nuggets. It's worth taking the time to reflect. Those moments during September, October taught me more than ever how much value reflecting on past wins can give you. Now we have a section in there named What Went Right versus What Needs Work. It's about balancing the narrative. Growth isn't just about wins. It's about owning the moments that didn't go as planned and learning from them. If this is starting to feel overwhelming, and if you don't have a practice of reflection or journaling, or even if it's just creating space for yourself to reflect, I see you and I hear you. I've been there as well. You're going to need to do a bit of work to get this done, to be honest, but an hour of work now might make 2025's 8,765 hours a lot more valuable and purposeful. 1 hour for 8,765 hours. So let me try and help you carve that out. Let's take a look at how to start it and how to stick with it. My number one suggestion here is to set aside 30 minutes, grab a pen, and start with one section of the review. Reflecting doesn't have to be overwhelming, just start. Where do I get this 30 minutes, I hear you say? Get up 30 minutes earlier for 2 or 3 days. This will have a negligible impact on you as a person. Even better if you can go to bed 30 minutes earlier, but don't worry about that, just do it. Better so, can you create a ritual like we discussed back in episode 5? Try to pair this with a quiet moment every day, maybe a quick coffee in the morning and write down some of your thoughts, or some good music, deep focus, Spotify playlist I can recommend, and make a kind of reflective experience of it. Still feel like a reach? Then stop this podcast right now and bang into the notes app of your phone. My proudest moment this year was because feels good, doesn't it? Now create more space for this. You've 8,765 hours in 2025 at stake, and who knows how many more tens and hopefully even hundreds of thousands of hours for the rest of your life. On the flip side though, maybe you're feeling comfortable with this and want to go even harder and bigger. So why not fire back and listen to episode 6, where I talk about how David Goggins uses a simple but effective method, writing down your fears and goals and facing them daily. This review is like your accountability mirror for the year. Use it to see where you are, where you want to go, alongside my free annual review that I'll share with you at the end of the show. Okay, as we wrap this puppy up, I have a few things that I want to share. I've created this end of year review truthfully for me. It's simple, effective, and a great way to reflect and plan for the next year. I've used these things for a couple of years, so I've taken the best from what I've done before, what's worked, and edited it and put a little kind of sprinkle of Being Well Wisdom flavour in there as well. I want to share it with as many of you as possible because I've seen the value it's added to my last couple of years. To receive it, just drop me a DM. If you've got my WhatsApp, drop me on WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever, and I'll fire it your way completely free. I want to help. 80% of these changes fail by February, as we heard earlier. If you want some additional help, let's connect on WhatsApp or on social media. Just drop me a message with the word help, and I'll check in on how you're getting on between now and March. Let's see if we can book this 80% failure rate. I'll share with you how I'm getting on with mine also, and we can be each other's cheerleaders. If you do use this review, share an insight with me on socials or tag me in your stories. Let's try and inspire each other and our friends to grow. As a thank you for sharing, I'm giving a £100 voucher for Being Well Travel Company, our show sponsors, for the best input shared. Let's make this year-end reflection count. Remember, reflection isn't about dwelling on the past. It's about learning from it so you can create a better future. Before I go, in somewhat of a tradition, when I was bedridden with a foot-long laceration in my knee post-knee surgery, I wanted to bring value. During that time, I started a practice. I started to write everything I'd learned and was learning in a book for my kids. And it's from that book that I share this quote with you to end today's podcast. And this week is from the big man himself, Socrates. Just one person delights in improving his form and another his horse. So I delight in attending to my own improvement day by day. Thanks so much, everyone. Please don't forget to get in touch if you want the review, and please pass the pod. Share it, subscribe, and please do leave me an honest review wherever you're listening. Big love. I would like to give thanks to today's show sponsors, Being Well Travel Company. Hit them up across all the usual places to get expertly planned trips, deals, and experiences around the world that will leave you feeling well. Now, back to the show.